We'd like to extend a special thank you to Region 9 EPA, Tribal Gap, and Clean Water Act 319 project officers Janet Sasek and Kate Pinkerton for support and guidance. We'd also like to extend a huge thank you to Pinoleville Pomo Nation for allowing us to always continue to grow our programs ourselves and uh, enabling us to pass on that knowledge that we gain every single day. They're very supportive of all the programs we have. We have many different programs. Well, thank you, Janet, so much. Uh, been through a lot this morning getting this presentation going. And a big special thank you to Mia Marufo. Mia Marufo has done so much work for NTOC, tribes, people, EPA. If you're able, if you don't know her already, I would definitely go and meet her before she's gone. I believe she's still here, and she's going to be taking a step away from working, doing the environmental work for a while. She got a lot going on, but she's put her time in, and we just would like to say that we appreciate everything she's done. Like I said, Neo has helped put together these booklets right here that will be raffling off Native Plants used by Pomo Nation. So that symbiotic relationship, some of these are some highlights from what our programs in the environmental department consist of for Pinoleville Pomo Nation. Part of it starts with cultural burning, and you can see the arrows points all the different areas. Ya-Mo-Bida So, intertribal seed saving and sharing. We have something called ML Step. It's a group of environmental professionals of the surrounding tribes that we work with. And we have monthly meetings and we discuss some of our issues and how we can get this solved. And we work together. We do water quality monitoring together, seed saving programs, and always passing on knowledge to one another. And got some great people in that group. Riparian restoration. We do invasive species removal, native seed gathering. We really focused on the native seeds because some of them are endangered, and we're trying to restore that riparian area of Ackerman Creek. There's a lot of human activity and a lot of degradation that's happened to the creek. And so part of that is monitoring the water quality, seeding, revegetating, and not just doing it one time for that, but continuing to do it because it's not like Terry said, it's not a one and done. It's something that has to continuously be done. There's so much damage that's been done to land that you can't just do it 1 year and expect it to restore itself. You got to keep going. It's resiliency, climate resiliency. Um, it's part of building a healthy forest and you know, it's a symbiotic relationship. You can't have one without the other, and part of that even includes the mycorrhiza fungi, where it all starts. The web, the mycelium webbing. Fuel load reduction and invasive species management. It's not only invasive species management, but it is fuel load reduction. In California, we deal with catastrophic wildfires that ravage lands and take homes and take lives. So anything that we can do to reduce that risk, and also just do what we can for the land. We're there to serve it, and it makes its way all the way back to climate resiliency and cultural burning. Before I touch on this slide, I would like to say that not only does fuel load reduction help prevent catastrophic wildfire, but it also helps preserve that air quality. Uh, Sometimes when there's these huge wildfires, they're burning hazardous materials, hazmat such as vehicles, oils, diesel, gasoline, leaching into the waterways after the fire, the ash that's just contaminated. Another circle of life is cultural burning. This is a photo of me doing cultural burning and holding a bladder bag. And we have in Oldville, we have an internship program every summer. We got a lot. We got a lot of kids, a lot of really great kids wanting to learn and willing to learn. And yeah, I was actually really amazed at how uh, great and resilient their work ethic was. But that wasn't what intrigued me the most. Just sometimes it can be can be a little hard doing the work that we do every day because you see all this damage that's done. We're trying to restore land and trying to make things better, and then you it seems like you take one step forward, two steps back. But that's why we're here. We just keep going and be resilient. These kids were awesome. They helped us with our seed saving program. I took them out and did some water quality monitoring, and we had interns from the previous year. I asked them some questions. What are the 5 parameters? Why do we monitor for this? What's what's a pretty good range to have your pH or your dissolved oxygen? And some of them actually knew the answers, and that means that this information is sticking with them. It's not just because it's interesting, but because they're realizing that it's important. All of these are important, and our interns also helped us with community outreach because that builds their confidence in being able to tell people what we're doing, why we're doing it, and why it's important. It also builds a confidence in, if they don't end up doing the work that we do, it also just builds confidence for their future endeavors. So we want to help build these interns and build their experience and their knowledge. And some of them don't even, know why their culture did certain things like cultural burning, seed savings, um, and planting and repair and restoration, like burning for seed for basketry material. Some of them, you know, didn't know that before. And then when they come to our department, we touch on it as much as we can, and they fall in love and they start learning more about their own culture, even. And water monitoring. So I do discharge flow measurements with some water monitoring or water quality equipment that we recently got. And so that's important because you got to monitor the amount of water that's coming through your creek or river. Some people, I was talking to someone yesterday, they were saying that the CFS amount that they got was insane. And I was really surprised to hear that because ours doesn't get, it doesn't seem to really get as high as that. And there's times where it's way too high. I can't even get in the water to take that discharge flow measurement. We also monitor for water quality. Ackerman Creek is impacted by human activity. We have vineyards lined on every side of or on both sides of the creek, as far as it goes. And there's also something that we've been working on, working with the local departments and just community members on trying to reduce pollution that leads into the creek and the waterways. And we also conduct salmon spawner surveys, looking for reds. And before I didn't really know how to identify smaller fish, juvenile, and it's really hard as a fry. But I didn't really know how to tell a pike minnow from a steelhead. But then doing these spawner surveys, it's just you learn more, and the more that you're in there when you're doing this water monitoring or you're doing the work that you do, you're able to identify things more. Now sometimes when I see when I'm doing my water monitoring, I'm peeking down there, looking in the water, and I'm like, okay, I think that's a steelhead right there with the 3 spots on the side. Ackerman Creek is historically known for being a beautiful river and a spawning creek for Chinook salmon, coho salmon, and steelhead. The steelhead fisheries has kind of collapsed. Chinook, we don't really see there anymore. It hasn't been seen in years, or coho. But we are putting forth a lot of effort to try to, restore that steelhead population there, because it is culturally important, very culturally significant to the Pinoleville Pomo Nation, but also just to the rivers. Ackerman Creek is a tributary to the Russian River in Northern California. Here's some, a very photogenic photo that I took of some turkey tail mushrooms. They're used for a lot of different purposes. They're medicinal. They're seen around healthy soils, and they can also um, provide carbon sequestration. And yeah, I would say next slide. This was a painting that was done. Kind of highlights the creek and the areas around it. It's around 2 or 3 p.m., say just about every day, you get a crazy wind gust. That's why Ya-Mo-Bida is called Wind Hole Creek. Uh, I don't know if it's the way that the mountains are formed, but it's really strong winds. Next slide, please. And keying back to the symbiotic relationship between the people and the land and everything that goes in between. I'm just going to read this here. This is the definition of symbiotic. It's characterized by or being in a close, cooperative, or interdependent relationship. An example is that the Pinoleville citizens have a symbiotic relationship with native plants and cultural birding, but also is a symbiotic relationship with the water and the fish. Next slide, please. This was another painting that was done. Actually, I really like this one because it's an acorn. An acorn is very culturally significant to the Pinoleville Pomo Nation and other northern Pomo tribes. And I also know that it's important to other tribes. And over in our area, we were dealing with something, and still is an issue. It's called sod. And we rely on oak trees for the acorn. Live oak, black oak, blue oak, tan oak. And some people have preferences of what kind of acorn they like to use for their mush, but they're all important. You can't have one without the other. So trying to restore the land and prevent contamination. And we also were hit with terrible drought these past few years in California. It seems to be doing a lot better, but before that, it was terrible. So there was an acorn weevil problem. So we also gather acorns to try to save them before those weevils get to them. So we not only do that, but we work on native plant identification, and we help the interns learn how to identify these plants, how to harvest the seeds, process them, and store them for later, and also to give back to the community. And we're trying to build a climate adapted seed stock for these droughts that may hit us again in California. And reseeding burn sites after it's burned, reseeding so it can grow back healthier and reduce invasive species and improve that riparian habitat. Next slide, please. This was one of our hardest working interns that we had this year. This guy is a workhorse, man, I tell you. He would not want to go home, and I liked it. We got a lot done with the help of this young man. I won't say his name just for confidentiality reasons, but he was interested in it all. I remember he was telling my sister, and I like this. I dig this compliment, but he told me, he said, I like working with your brother. He reminds me of a majestic man. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're my favorite intern. But yeah, we get some amazing young guys in here and young gals too. And this is him harvesting some of the native seed that we have near our wellness center. Next slide, please. Another photo of one of our interns. So we teach them on how to identify mother plants, and not just to go out there once, but go out there every few times just to see how it's doing, what it looks like. Is there a color change? Is there any difference? And we try to gather and harvest them at the perfect time. Next slide, please. Here's some of that sage that we have. These are two more of our interns gathering it. The fellow on the right, or sorry, on the left, he wasn't sure what this was, but I remember him saying, "It's like, man, this smells good." And so I love this. I love sage in general, but we do have some that you can feel free to take with you when before leaving here. Next slide, please. These are two other members as part of our crew, Tyrone Mitchell and Tim Bottega, harvesting some seed and for our program. And Tyrone, he usually doesn't really mind the poison oak, so I'll send him in those areas when I don't want to, because I get it pretty bad, but he doesn't really care about it. So we gather elderberry and a lot of different types of berries. native. We do a lot of work together as a crew. Sometimes if I'm out and I can't get something done, then I'll shoot these guys. Well, not really out, but like out in the field, and there's something that we need done. These guys will usually do their best to get it done, and I can rely on our crew. This was one of our female interns gathering some rosehip, and I was actually really surprised by this too because this is my younger sister actually, and uh, I had her doing some seed gathering. I didn't know if she'd like it because it was in the summer, it's super hot, burning. I never really thought of her as being one of our interns before or being interested in it. But I showed her the idea, and she was actually, she loved it, and she. Now I think we have a young environmentalist. Next slide, please. This is her doing some outreach with Terry. She hates taking pictures, so that's probably why she's gritting her teeth right now. But we have a lot of different outreach materials. Terry always sets up a beautiful table with, an abalone shell filled with seeds, many different types of seeds and baskets. And we have some of our flyers that are available to view here today, too. And she always focuses on giving them out so other people can seed. Maybe some people don't have an abundance of the seed that we have here, so we can just do an intertribal seed exchange, which is what we do. Next slide, please. Here's a photo of a display that we had at the Intertribal Agricultural Symposium. It was a seed exchange. So this is just, we have a lot of seed stock. This is just a small portion of it. Next slide, please. Just some outreach flyers. Definitely feel free to take a look at them over here too. It was some outreach that was done for coyote mint and showy milkweed. Showy milkweed's pretty unique because monarch butterflies, which are an endangered species, the monarch caterpillars kind of only like milkweed plants. So they won't survive sometimes if they're on other plants because they won't eat it. Talk about a picky eater, huh? Next slide, please. This is more outreach just on how sunflowers remove heavy metals and other toxic materials from the soil. And cattail improves water quality. It's a really great filter. Next slide, please. This is a photo of us doing a little cultural burning here with some redbud seeds. Redbud, if you don't know already, they need scarification or thermification or stratification in order to germinate. So we do all three different methods, and we have practiced them all. But this was a picture of us burning it. And that is a small portion of what we do as a department. This was a really interesting picture before I cap off. That was a frog. It was on that really strong wind that I was talking about. He was hanging on, just chilling there on a showy milkweed leaf. So I thought it was really interesting. But I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming here and supporting our workshop. And feel free to grab some seeds. If there is any more smoked salmon, please make sure it's gone before you leave here. And I'll let Terry take it from here. Thank you again. Okay, we're doing a raffle. Oh, okay. I guess I'll take the pressure. 68. 68. Okay. Then you want me to do two more? Okay. Do two more. Two more lucky winners. 55. All right, sweet right here. And then before I do this last one, I would like to say again for some of those who weren't here at the start, my name is Dakota Perez. I'm a Yurok tribal member. from Klamath, California, and I represent the Pinoleville Pomo Nation as their water resource specialist. Thank you to EPA. Thank you to everyone for being here. 67. 67? Okay, we got last one over there. All right. I believe that will conclude our presentation. Please come get some seeds. We have a lot of them. Make a pinole blend. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here, and we appreciate you.